Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. I am here today to do a book tag. I haven't officially been tagged to do this, but I've been seeing it around Booktube and I really want to participate and give y'all some book recommendations that I have. So today I am filming the book recommendation tag. I'm not sure who originally created this video. I've gone and watched and clicked through several different creators' tags that they have done, and they've been tagged by other people, and I'm trying to find the original tag. But if I can't find it, I'll just tag a couple of people's videos in the description down below to go ahead and check out. But I am so excited today because I have 15 book recommendations for y'all. I picked one book for every single question, like a different book, even though a lot of these books probably overlap between the different questions. I did want to give 15 recs, so I took the time to look at my shelves and deeply analyze the books that I loved, that I could rec, that were not the same. So I have 15 questions here. One of them is actually about a book that you did not like, but the 14 other books are books that I loved and would recommend to y'all. The one that I didn't love, I don't own physically anymore because I didn't love it. So I'll just go ahead and stick a picture up here when we get to that question. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive into these 15 questions that I have to answer for y'all today. Question number 1 is a book you tell people is your favorite, and for that I have to say A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I always recommend this one to people if they want a good cry. I have read it twice. This is the signed Hello Lovely edition because I needed it signed by the author because I love this book that much. This is a young adult contemporary. It's very sad, really sad. If you want a good cry, would recommend this book. Just make sure that you have a lot of tissues available because it's going to be a heartbreaker. Question 2 is a book that is your guilty pleasure. I don't really consider myself to have guilty pleasures just because I don't feel guilty about what I read, but this is probably the most perfect book for this question. After by Anna Todd. I am obsessed with Hardin and whatever the girl's name is, Tessa. I have read this book a couple of times and have seen the movies and I'm just addicted to the drama and the toxicity of it. So gonna have to go with After. I do need to do a reread of the series at some point this year. We'll see if and when I get to it, but I would love to reread this series at some point. Question 3 is a book that everyone loved but you didn't, and my answer to this one was immediate. I didn't even have to think about it. I don't have the book physically, but my least favorite book of all time is probably definitely It by Stephen King. This book has a 4.2 something rating on Goodreads and I hated it. Hated every second of it, and I'm not a huge fan of the author after reading several of his books, and I could just go on and on and on forever about why I don't like this book. But my opinion is very unpopular, so take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, I'm not going to go into the details of why I didn't like it. I would prefer to focus on the happy books that I have here and the books that I loved, but definitely do not like it. Question 4 is a book you read the fastest. This is kind of a hard question because after it's been a couple weeks or months, I kind of forget if it's taken me super long to get through some of the books that I read. But one that I'm very certain I read in about 24 hours is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. This is a thriller about a group of people who go to this island and people end up dead. It's a great time. I actually got this copy signed by Rachel Hawkins when I met her a couple months ago and it was so cool. Loved this book, would recommend it. It's not overly loved by at least people I know who have read it, but I was obsessed with it, read it super fast last summer, gave it 5 stars, was hooked, and definitely read this one super fast and would recommend it. Question 5 is a book that deserves more hype, and for that I have to go with The Fall of Troy by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. This is the first in a duet. I haven't read the second book yet. It does kind of end on a cliffhanger, but loved this book Troy is our main character. She very much grew on me throughout it. It's a student-professor romance, so all the forbidden vibes. So flipping good. This is very underrated. It does not have a ton of ratings on Goodreads, and I think that more people should be reading it, as well as just this author in general. I have read 2 books by Dr. Rebecca Sharp, and both books have been 4 stars or higher. Definitely underrated, and more people should be reading this romance. Question 6 is a book that is becoming a TV show or movie, and for that I'm saying The Mysterious Benedict Society. It is technically already a TV show. There are 2 seasons out, but I figured it could still count for this prompt or this question, so I'm going with it. This is one of my favorite books, one of my favorite series of all time. It's middle grade mystery, so much fun. None of the other books that like I've read physically on my shelves and loved are becoming TV shows or movies as far as I'm aware, so this kind of like is not quite the question, but also I think it still works because it is a TV show, and I'm sure more seasons will be coming out of it because there are 3 books in this series, as well as a prequel and then like a 4th book set like a couple years into the future from where these ones take place. So definitely love this series, love this book. I've read it a couple of times as well. Read it for a middle grade reading vlog that I did earlier this year. Loved it. And I talk about this book all the time in my videos, I feel like, but truly loved, and y'all need to read it. If you just love a good mystery, if you love a good middle grade, love a good found family situation, so much fun. Question 7 is a book you've reread the most. I'm saying Birthday Girl for this one. I don't reread a ton, but this one is definitely up there and one that I've reread the most in the fact that I've read it 2 times. So I'm gonna just go ahead and go with this one. Ex-Boyfriend's Dad. So good. Forbidden. Love it. Love Pike and Jordan. This book makes me tear up. At least the past 2 times I've read it, I've teared up over reading it. I got the special edition that Darkly by the Bookish box was doing a couple weeks ago, and I'm so stoked to have a special edition of this one gracing my shelves, hopefully at some point this year, but we'll see. Cannot help but just love this book. Love Penn Douglas, love Penelope, love their stuff, and I'm so excited to read more by them. I've only read a couple books by Penelope Douglas, loved all of them, but cannot wait to get to more in the future. This is definitely one that I reread and need to read yet again. Question 8 is a book rack from a genre that you don't typically read. For that, I picked out Lake's Edge. This is a young adult gothic fantasy. There is some romance, and it might even be better suited as new adult, but I don't read a ton of fantasy anymore, yet this book like lives in my brain rent-free sometimes. If you like demons and gothic mystery and things like that and romance, this is definitely one for you. This is also very much an underrated fantasy. More people should read it. I only have like 4 copies of this book, so if that says anything about how much I love it, yeah, there's that. I also have the sequel on my shelf. I haven't read it yet. I've been too scared to read it, but I do have book 2 that came out a couple months ago. But yeah, again, I don't typically read fantasy at this point in my life, but I have 4 copies of Lake's Edge, if that tells you anything about how much I would recommend this book to y'all. Question 9 is a book that deserves all the hype it gets. For that, I'm just gonna go ahead and say The Deal by Elle Kennedy. Freaking love this book. Love me Garrett. And I have a sweatshirt with his last name on the back of it. You know how it goes. Love this sports romance. This is definitely what got me into sports romance, and I'm now hooked on Elle Kennedy and on like the sports romance sub genre in general. Would recommend if you like nerdy girl, bad boy, that kind of trope. Set in college, there is hockey, so much fun, great groups of friends here, and 5 stars. I need to finish out reading this series still, but like I've been obsessed with the first 3 books that I have read in the off-campus series, so I would definitely recommend this one, even through all of the hype that it already has. Question 10 is a book you normally recommend when people ask. I do recommend Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner quite frequently. This is a sapphic romance, best friend's mom, age gap, all the spice, all the heartwarming moments. Love this book. I need to read it physically since it came out. I did get an ARC of this one before its release dates and read it last summer. Loved it, and I need to reread it, like I already said, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But this book was truly so much fun. I have an ARC of the author's next book that comes out. It's a soccer romance, I'm pretty sure, and truly cannot wait. Cannot wait. Love this book, would recommend it, and yeah, y'all need to check it out. Question 11 is a book that has your favorite characters. Easy answer. Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller, purely because Cal Anderson owns my heart. I would do anything for this man. I would let him kidnap me, like take me away, get rid of Elena. I will be your new wife because I love him very much. And that is that. If you like mafia vibes, kind of age gap, kind of enemies to lovers that have a past, would recommend this one. It's not probably the strongest in the series. I have only read this book and its sequel, which follows 2 different characters, but I personally gave it 5 stars, was obsessed with it, did a reading vlog with this one a couple months ago for Bookmas, and beautiful, loved it. Cal owns my heart. So yeah, that's that one. Question 12 is a book you wish you could live in. Legend by Marie Lu is my answer to this one. Yeah, this is a young adult dystopian. Haven't read it in years, but I've read the series a couple of times and cry every single time I reach the 3rd book, which is called Champion. I want to live with Day in June because I need to know what happens after the ending of the 3rd book. Like, I'm still distraught over the ending. I need to know what happened, and yeah. Love these characters, love this world, love this series. It's very much like pretty hyped up already. These books have been out for a long time, but I gotta mention it because back when I was in high school and reading these books, like, obsessed. And I just want to live with Day in June. So yeah, that's my recommendation for this question. Question 13 is a book you thought you would hate but didn't. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. It's not that I thought I was gonna hate this one when I was going into it, but I read this for the book club that I co-host with my best friend Stasia, and nobody else in our book club was enjoying it. So I was nervous that I also wasn't going to like it, and then I gave it 4.5 stars. If you're looking for a sports romance, this is definitely not it. There's very little hockey in my opinion compared to books like Fair Catch or The Deal or a lot of other books that I have up here that are sports romances. This book does not have all that much in it, in my opinion. I very loosely consider this to be a sports romance, but it made my heart happy. I loved Nate and Stassi and their relationship and how sweet it was, and ended up giving this book 4.5 stars, even though I was very scared going into it. Had a really good time. Have lots of tabs in this book as well. So they look so good. And I'm excited to get to the 2nd book in this companion novel series when it comes out later this year. Alright y'all, we have 2 questions left. Question 14 is a book that made you cry. The Revenge Pact by Isla Madden Mills. Hands down, was sobbing for like 60 pages in this book. It was so sad in my opinion. Stasia read it recently and did not cry, and I was kind of disappointed in that. But you know, 5 stars, crying, football romance, new adult. Very, very slow burn. She is with somebody else for most of the book, but so good. My heart was shattered and put back together. I thought this book was so sweet and definitely want to read more by the author. This is the special edition that Bell Book Box did, but so good. It is on KU. Loved it. Loved this flipping book. Yeah, 5 stars. I cried a lot. Question 15 is a book you wish you could read again for the first time. I did kind of struggle to pick out a book just from my physical selection that I have here, but I did end up going with Sinner by Sierra Simone. I read this book back in January for the book club that I co-host. I was also crying during this one. I was so distraught and in pain over just things that are going on in the plot. I love Sierra Simone. I love this series in general. I think that she does such a great job like mixing religion into books of this nature, and overall just had so much fun with it. Like, I was torn up over it and everything like going on in the book, but it was so beautiful, so good. Also have a ton of tabs in this one. Yay. Love Sean, Belle, and Zenny. Yeah, this is Nun and like businessman, I'm pretty sure is what he is, or like lawyer. He's a playboy, he's a womanizer. She is committed to a life of celibacy because she is on her way to becoming a nun, but until she like takes her next step, she has like 30 days I think left of like freedom to do what she wants and like explore different things. So she asks Sean to like help open her eyes to the physical pleasures of life, and they end up falling in love naturally. So that's what this one is about. Loved it. Love this whole series, but especially this book. I wish I could read it again for the first time and like not know what to expect, because yeah, I don't know, I just want to experience it again for the first time. 5 flippin' stars. Y'all should read this series as well. Those are all the questions for this book tag. I hope y'all had a fun time hearing some of my recommendations. I am not going to tag anybody officially to do this video, but if you see this and want to also do this tag, feel free to do so. I would love to see all y'all's recommendations. Always love adding new books to my TBR. If you've read any of these books and want to let me know how you felt about them, feel free to comment down below and let me know. I would love to hear all your thoughts on some of these books that I hold so near and dear to my heart and just need everybody to read. So that's all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.